Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Genestar Business Overview. I would like to first thank you all for taking a step to see and listen and learn to what is this Genestar opportunity is all about. A company that in the midst of pandemic in 2020 have recruited over 7,000 people. And now these people have been given the opportunity to join us part-time, and some of them are working with us full-time in a career in the financial services. So also tonight, we'll be covering to you actually who we are, what we do, and most especially, what is it for you. My name is Arvin Burgos, one of the National Sales Director in Genestar. Just like you tonight, I've seen this opportunity first time way back in 2009. I was a very skeptical audience, but after listening to the presentation, I was amazed with the concept of financial education. In that particular meeting, I've learned that the secret to be financially independent is not about the job or income that you are making. It all boils down to financial education. So first, I became a client and they provided me this complimentary financial game plan. Yes, it's complimentary, but that actually financial game plan have shown me how to change my financial life. They have shown me how to reduce my mortgage years from 20 years to 12 years without even paying extra. I really like the idea of becoming debt-free because probably you can relate to me when I say that if you are debt-free, regardless what type of job or income that you are making, you are more likely to design a better lifestyle for yourselves and for your family. And again, I was actually, after that, actually, I joined the same year and worked part-time with the company, building my career in business and financial services while keeping my job in the National Health Service as a surgical care practitioner just to pay my bills. And again, actually, as a part-time. For 5 years of hard work, I was building my business part-time. But in December 2014, I left that job and went full-time in Genestar. I really like the opportunity to develop a lifelong career in helping more people to become debt-free and financially independent. And probably this is the same reason why you are invited tonight, to listen and to hear to our message, because someone somewhere out there might be looking for an opportunity like what we have. The first meeting in 2009 that I attended changed my life. And I'm hoping tonight it will be for you too. So before I will introduce our speakers, let me cover some housekeeping for you. Number one, I know that majority of you is at home and your kids probably is running around there. So let's minimize some distraction, and as we don't want you to miss some important information that you and your family needs to hear or looking for. Our presentation tonight is for information purposes only. So if you have any question, I would like to encourage you to write it down, and we will give you an opportunity to answer those in a follow-up meeting with the person who invited you. I would also like to request that you send a text or call the person who invited you just to let them know that you are here so that they can follow up with you. So allow me now to introduce our speakers. Tonight, we are so blessed that you'll be listening and meeting some of our top leaders in the company who are both are my business partners. You'll be hearing from one amazing lady in Genestar, and her name is Pearl Nayafly. Pearl has 17 years of corporate background as a senior marketing manager in Kent. But currently, he's heading actually a charity in Kent as well, running her own executive coaching consultancy company. She'll be sharing with you today why she joined Genestar. As a matter of fact, she's one of our senior group leader as a part-time position designed to prepare her to become full-time as executive vice president in our company. Also tonight, you'll be hearing from one of our top leader, Executive Vice President Alan Palmer from Red Hill. Alan will be sharing his journey from a world-class chef and now one of our full-time top Executive Vice President of Genestar. Alan will be sharing his unique journey, why he swapped a successful career as a chef and went full-time in Genestar in order to have a better lifestyle where he can run a business, but spending more time with his young family. Like many of us in our company, Pearl and Alan started part-time with us until such time that they can come full-time and run their own Genestar business. So I would like actually for you to sit tight and listen to these inspiring testimonies from these individuals and allow them to share to you their own journeys to financial freedom. Genestar have provided thousands of people in the UK like me to develop a skills and knowledge to become debt-free and financially independent through financial education. And in addition to that, if you share and help other people to teach the same concept on financial education, we will show you tonight that the best opportunity that you can develop a business or career in the highest paid industry in the world. And you will find that actually in Genestar because we work in the financial services. We are in a mission to help every UK families to become debt-free and financially independent. And that mission started by 7 founders in 2007 of our company. But tonight, it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce to you one of them, and he will be our main host. He's a hardworking family man and father of 4 amazing boys. He has 3 decades of successful career in financial services. For the last 13 years, have been instrumental in building Genestar from 7 executive vice president to now 94 plus executive vice president running their own Genestar business all over the country, full time. He's our top earner with over actually 400,000 income last year, and I'm projecting without a doubt that he will hit about more than actually 500,000, if not 1 million at the end of the year. The reason I believe that it will happen to him because this person have the heart of helping ordinary people just like me to achieve our own financial goals and become successful in Genestar. So without further ado, let me bring to you my friend, my business partner, and our coach in Genestar, Senior National Sales Director, Mr. Steve Jenkins.
Well, thank you, Arvin, and thank you for those very kind words. As Arvin said, my name's Steve Jenkins. I'm a Senior National Sales Director with Genestar, and I'll welcome you all here this evening. So my story is very simple. When I saw this presentation over 13 years ago for the first time, there were 3 things that resonated with me. The very first thing was the opportunity to help people. I've always loved helping people. There's a project going on in my local community. I'm there helping out to help people off in a worse situation than myself. So if you like helping people, you might find the same thing. Genestar helps people get out of debt, stay out of debt, and become financially independent. And secondly, the thing that really, really resonated with me was the ability to spend more time with my family. I've always been a hardworking man, and which has meant that I've got up early in the morning, got home late at night to provide for my family. And I'm not complaining about that time in my life because I got paid well. But when I saw an opportunity to spend more time with my family, have greater flexibility to be with them and generate enough income to pay our bills and achieve our goals, etc., I jumped at it. And just like Arvin, I started part-time, and within 11 months, I was full-time doing this business, and I've never looked back. The third thing that really stood out for me was the opportunity to own my own business. You see, when I was working for somebody else, and you might feel like this also, you're working for someone else and helping them build their business, which is okay. Nothing wrong in that. But when I saw an opportunity to actually work hard and build a business for my future, for my family's future, I couldn't resist it. So as you're going to see later on in the presentation, you can build a business here part-time in your spare time and get to a point where when you go full-time, like Arvin's done as an executive vice president, you then sign a new contract called ownership, which means the business you've built becomes yours. And you can sell that business. It's an asset inside the company. There's a program for that, which means you can retire and live on an income for the rest of your life and beyond. So let's talk about three other individuals who've been with us for over a decade. Daryl Harper, the first one there on the left, when I met him 12 years ago, he was a teacher at a North London college. And Daryl's a very cautious kind of guy. He worked with us part-time for 2.5 years. He could have gone full-time a lot sooner, but what he wanted to do was save up enough money to pay his bills for a year if it didn't work out with Genistar. But he needn't have worried. He did very well right from the get-go. He's now a senior vice president. He's financially independent. He's very successful and still working hard because he feels like he hasn't even got started yet. Arvin, who you've just heard from, well, his story is very good. I mean, he never wanted to go full-time with us. I remember him telling me very clearly as if it was yesterday, I love being a surgical nurse. There's no way that I'd leave the NHS. And then one day I got a phone call from him and he said, well, I've changed my mind. And when I inquired why, he explained that he'd seen the value of his pension statement, which was basically income of less than half of what he was earning at that point. He told me that wasn't enough. Something had to change. The second thing is he'd seen the future and he'd been shown that robotics was going to place the job that he had at St. Thomas's Hospital in central London. And he was right. That's actually happened. His job no longer exists there. And thankfully, he made a good decision. He went full-time 7-8 years ago, and he's now financially independent and very successful with us. He's a national sales director. His income's at £250,000 a year. Which is phenomenal by anyone's standards, but yet again, feels like he's just getting started. And then there's Ching Dela Cruz over there on the right. She's everybody's hero. You see, when she started, she didn't have an electric start like Daryl and Arvin, but what she did is she kept turning up to training and she kept learning and studying the subjects that we gave. And 18 months went by and she hadn't really done that much. But she came to me one day and explained that her employer, John Lewis, were letting her go after 10 years and making her redundant. And we had about 4 or 5 months to get things right. So we went to work, and within a year, she was an executive vice president. And just like Daryl, she's a senior vice president now. But the thing we're most proud of about Ching is that she hasn't forgotten where she comes from. When she can, which obviously it's difficult at the moment, she goes back to the Philippines. And she helps out there. She's building a community center for the locals in the town that she grew up in. And also she and her husband, Jean, have built a farm that employs a lot of the locals during the harvesting season. So we're very proud of her because not only has she done that, she's financially independent for herself and her family and set a great precedent for many people that are following in her footsteps. But let's focus a little bit now on you. What are your goals and dreams? Do you have any? And do you have any that at present just seem too far away? If that is the case, well, how would you feel if another 10 years went by and you still hadn't achieved them? Well, not very good, obviously. What if you could achieve them in the next few years? How would that make you feel? Well, obviously a lot better. You see, that's what we do at Genistar. We identify what your goals are, what your dreams for you and your family are, and we turn them into reality. We have over a dozen people now in just my organization whose net worth is over £1 million, and they were nowhere near that when we first met. But they've earned enough money with Genistar and used that money to invest and save and build their family wealth. Now, I want you to know this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Please don't get turned off by some of the phrases we're using. We help people become financially independent through education, and it works. But it doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, the 3 individuals I've talked about have been with us for over a decade. It takes time, it takes effort, but it is doable. First of all, what you've got to do is you've got to accept that you start from where you stand and identify what's affecting you and your family negatively, and we fix it. So for example, it might be debt. This country's got more debt than any other country in the world per household. We know how to fix that. We've helped tens of thousands of families get out of debt and stay out of debt. We can do the same for you, which then allows you to move on to working towards financial independence. Redundancy is a big problem right now. It's a big hot potato because there are literally more people unemployed now than we've had more than in the last 20 years. And more are going to come as the furlough payments start to reduce and effectively finish towards the autumn. So if that's affecting you or anyone you know, we have the answer to that too. People come on board with us part-time while they're working through furlough, build a business so that by the time furlough finishes, they've got another income coming in. Even before this pandemic, people were struggling with not enough income coming in because people haven't had a pay rise for more than a decade. Many people work with us part-time and make an extra £1,000 to £2,000 a month, working a couple of evenings a week. And what about your retirement plan? Most people don't even think about that because it just seems too far away. And that's understandable when you've challenged with day-to-day expenses to pay. Well, many people have used their job to pay their bills and used Genistar to use the money that they can invest to make sure that their retirement is assured. You see, COVID-19 has caused a huge amount of stress from a health point of view, but also from a financial point of view. Furlough won't last forever. Many jobs are going, and we haven't seen the worst of it yet. But for Genistar, this is a perfect storm. Yeah, it's a perfect storm because we are a solution that can help every single person, every single family with their finances. So how do you feel about your current situation? What if you change nothing? What if you just wait to see what happens? Well, you're leaving yourself open then to see what happens to the economy and to see what happens politically and to see what changes, if anything. The alternative is to work with us part-time, work a couple of evenings a week and build a business on the side. A little bit like when you drive a car, you have a spare tire in the boot, just in case. Well, why don't you have a spare business in your back pocket, just in case? Fast forward to retirement. Where do people end up? Well, 67 years of age, every 100 people that retire at that age, 1% of them are wealthy, 4 are financially independent, 41% still have to work, and 54% are dead broke. So that's 95% of people are in trouble when they get to retirement age. Now, a lot of people believe this is a political issue. I'm here this evening to explain it's not, it's a demographic one. You see, back in 1900, the average person lived till they were 51 and therefore didn't need to really worry about retirement because they didn't make it. Today, the average lady and the average guy lives till their mid-80s, which means they have 2 decades to live and provide for themselves at a time when they've got very little money coming in. The old age pension today stands at about £155 a week. Yeah, and every year, because it's not pegged with inflation, it actually goes down in real terms. I don't know many people that are looking forward to £155 a week. But what about those of you that have got pensions? Check out, like Arvin did, what the value of them is going to be. See, the pensions industry is virtually broken. Why is that? Well, it's because of the demographics in the country. There are more people in the UK now over 65 than there are under 18, which means the next generation of taxpayers coming through are not going to be enough. There'll be more people taking out of the pot than putting in. And the government are broke right now. They've borrowed more money in the last 12 months than they have in the previous decade. Yeah, the country's finances are in turmoil and the country's households are following suit. So therefore, we've got to take responsibility for our own retirement. And that's where Genistar comes in, teaching families how to get it sorted out and what to do to make it work. So now we're going to call on one of our top up-and-coming leaders, Pearl Nifly. Pearl, are you with us?
Yes, Steve, I'm here.
There you are. How are you doing?
I'm good, Steve. How are you?
I'm fine and dandy, thank you. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Wonderful. So tell everyone why you got involved. Well, first of all, a little bit about your background, what you've done in your career and now what you're up to in Genistar.
Okay, so as Arvin previously said earlier on, I have 17 years in the corporate world, where I've been in the rat race. I live in Kent, and it would take me an hour and a half to get to London and an hour and a half back to Kent, and I did it for all those years. And then eventually I accepted redundancy, and then I made up my mind I was going to work nearer where I lived. And so I'm heading a charity here in Kent, which I love because it's always good to give something back. I'm also a trained executive coach, which I used to do on part-time basis. But then, I needed something more, but I wasn't sure what it was. And one day I had a phone call from my friend who said to me, Pearl, there's somebody who is coming to show me something around financial education. And she didn't say much, but I said, yeah, I'll be there. Because for me, anything to do with learning, I'm interested. And so went there, and I met a lovely lady called Donya, and she showed the bomb as we're seeing it now. And I was blown away. I was like, where have I been all these years? And I always say this, that, we all have, higher education. We've got all different types of degrees with letters on other side of our names, but nobody had really, for me, for example, the day when I heard about the rule of 72 and all the rest of it, I was blown away. I was thinking, where have I been all these years? So I was very, very much intrigued. But I wasn't interested in the business at the time. I was really interested in the information. But then Donya was persistent, and, cut long story short, I joined 18 months ago. So, a year and a half ago, I joined the business, and I haven't looked back since. Best decision I've ever taken. I enjoy the fact that I'm helping families out there, really helping them to become financially independent, showing them these concepts, how to help them pay off their debt. And, when you serve a client and, they come back to you, they phone you and say, thank you, that is very, very rewarding. And it's not just what you do for the client, it's what you do for yourself, because, I have been building my wealth gradually, and I'm doing this on a part-time basis. And, seeing that how to earn more money is just within my reach. I'm working really, really hard to even, earn more. And this is the reason why I've worked really hard and pre-qualified to be an executive vice president, because that is where the journey really, really starts. And, my bad is when I joined Genistar, I took about 6 weeks trying to suss things out. That was the biggest regret ever. I should have just run with it, because this is something that can go big for you, either as a part-timer or as a full-timer. So that's my story in brief, Steve.
Very good. And have you got one particular client story that comes to mind where you've helped a family and, it kind of resonates right now?
Yeah, I've had a few client stories. I think I'm going to share one that was just kind of recently. So I had a client, who took the insurance policy and had been paying for a few months, maybe possibly 6 months to 8 months, and then he defaulted payment. And so normally we do get the early warning report, which shows the clients who have missed payments or for whatever reason. So what we do is we just check on them to find out if they're facing financial difficulties, and then we do our best to help them. So I phoned my client and I said, you've missed a payment, is everything okay? And he said, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to cancel it because my wife is unhappy with it, blah, blah, blah. So I then said to him, look, you've got 3 children, don't you? He said, yes, because I know that because of the information he gave me. And then I said to him, you don't really want to cancel your policy in this current climate where, things are, very, very uncertain and people are dying left, right, and center. And then he kept quiet on the phone and I thought he had gone. So I said, hello, hello. He said, I'm here. And he just said to me, Pearl, thank you very much. I needed to have this conversation. I'm going to phone Vitality tomorrow to reinstate my direct debit. And for me, just doing that, just having that conversation, because I could have just ignored it and then, the policy would have elapsed. And one day in future, I'm not saying that was going to happen, but anything could happen. And, the poor children, because it's the children, it's the family, that they're the reason why, we take all these policies, and those children would have been in an unfortunate position. So I am delighted that I was able to have that conversation that had him thinking and then making the right decision as well.
Very good. And excellent service, Pearl. And just one other question, and that is, obviously you get paid by Genistar for the work you do. I want people on the call to hear that, obviously. What's the highest income you've received in 1 week from Genistar?
Highest income in 1 week is £1,650 in a week.
There we go. It's good. That's very good, and I know that's a start. You're certainly in a position to go all the way and get up to £2,000 a week, £3,000 a week, and beyond. Keep working the way you're working, and it's inevitable. Really proud of you, Pearl. Great job.
Steve, thank you very much.
So that's Pearl's story, and she's not the only one. We've got thousands of people following in her footsteps, and why not you? Let me talk a little bit about the industry now. You see, the financial services industry has a problem. In that back in 1987, when the population was 56 million, there were 300,000 financial advisors. Fast forward to today, 2021, populations increased by 9 million to 65 million, and yet there are only 20,000 financial advisors. Why is that? Well, back in 1987, the average financial advisor didn't need to be qualified. And some of them just didn't do the right job 100% of the time for their clients. They had their own interests at heart, and greed set in. So quite rightly, the government formed a regulator. Back then it was called the FSA, it's now called the FCA, and they raised the bar of qualifications needing to become and remain a financial advisor. Now what's happened, that's created a barrier of entry into the industry. So that means there's only 20,000 left. And the average age of those guys is in the mid-60s. So that the population of financial advisors is reducing dramatically. And the ones that we have left have moved up market to help wealthy people. And they charge for their services £100 to £150 an hour, which means ordinary families have no access to any form of financial educational help. So there's a market of 45 million people there in the middle, called the middle income market. That's 70% of the UK. 15% is taken care of by those IFAs, and the low income people with 40, 50, 60, £100,000 worth of debt and on the verge of bankruptcy are taken care of by some very good charities like Step Change and Citizens Advice Bureau. But nobody, and I mean nobody, is looking after the 45 million in the middle. And there's a great opportunity. Ask yourself, do you think there's a gap in the market for a company to step in, teach middle-income families how money works, show them how to get out of debt, stay out of debt, and become financially independent? Well, if you're saying yes, maybe you're shouting at the screen saying, heck yes, then we are on the same page. That's what we did. We set up Genistar to serve middle-income families. Oh, sorry, went the wrong way. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the company and who we are. I'm going to go through one of our concepts called the Rule of 72 that Pearl was talking about. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about our compensation, both from a part-time point of view and for people who are full-time with us. So let's start with the company. Who is Genistar? Well, we're established back in 2007. We're one of the fastest growing financial services companies in the UK. And we're regulated by the FCA, which gives a lot of comfort to our clients and people who come on board with us. And we're what's called an industry disruptor. We've disrupted the financial services industry because we focus on educating clients empowering them to make better decisions for themselves and their families, as opposed to what the rest of the industry does, which is give people advice, which is basically telling them what to do. And we believe people have had enough of being told what to do. People want to know how things work. And that's where we come in. We teach people and empower them so they can make their own minds up on what they should and shouldn't do. So as a result, we're expanding rapidly. We have over 100,000 clients now nationwide, and our client base is growing at a rate of 2,000 clients a month. We're looking for people who want to come and work with us both part-time and full-time, and we're interviewing right now. If you like what you see today, we'll invite you to a one-on-one interview where we'll find out if you're right for us, and obviously we'll answer all of your questions. But here's our team. We're very proud of our team. We have 94 executive vice presidents, and we're promoting 4 to 5 brand new ones every month. And we truly are an equal opportunity. 7 out of the last 8 executive vice president promotions have been female. And you can see from the pictures on there that we come from all 4 corners of the planet. We're very proud of the fact that Genistar has over 100 nationalities represented throughout our field force. And that we believe that's our biggest asset, because once we're established here in the UK, and once we're a household name, our plan is to go worldwide and go into other countries all around the world and teach the education also. And with modern technology, we don't even have to leave the country to do it. Yeah, through Zoom and similar applications, we can speak to people on the other side of the planet. One of my clients has moved to Australia, and about a month ago, I did their financial review, their annual review, and they could have been next door. It was amazing. So with modern technology, we've got big, big plans, and we're looking for people just like you to come on board, go through our training program, and help many families. This is how we do it. We teach people how to become debt-free and financially independent with a 3-step process. The first step is an online financial education program, which we deliver over Zoom. And that helps us put together the financial game plan, which empowers people and equips them to change their financial future. On the second appointment, usually 4 or 5 days later after the first appointment, that's where decisions are made, where people implement the solutions that we give them to pay their mortgages off quickly, like Arvin was talking about, to get rid of their debt through something called debt stacking, to invest for the future, for their children's education maybe, or their retirement. On top of that, we give people a book called Your Journey to Financial Freedom. And we believe it's the best book written on finance for the family because it's written in plain English. And as well as the things I've already mentioned, it also talks about something called the Rule of 72. And if you stay on till the end, I will give you instructions on how you can get your free copy of this book at the end. So what is this Rule of 72? Well, it's an old banking principle that's been around about 400 years. Now, if you Google it, a lot of people say that Einstein invented it. He didn't, because he wasn't alive 400 years ago, so that's not possible. But he did endorse it and call it the 9th wonder of the world. And you'll see why as I go through it. Now, banks used to use this to calculate how much money they made out of other people's money back in the day before computers and calculators were invented. And what it does is it tells you how many years it takes for money to double at a certain interest rate. And we've got 3 hypothetical rates here, 3, 6, and 12. And it's calculated by dividing that interest rate into that number 72. So let's go through some examples. Let's assume you've got £10,000 in a bank account and you're getting 3%. Well, that would be a bank called Miracle Bank right now, because there isn't any bank account out there that will give you 3% that we know of. However, this is just a concept. So let's imagine that you could get 3. 3 into 72 is 24, because 3 times 24 is 72. So that means that after 24 years, your £10,000 will have doubled to 20,000, assuming it was 3% all the way through. Wait another 24 years and it's worth 40,000. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't wait that long. I'll be over 100. This is why people want higher rates of return or higher interest rates. So if you double the interest rate from 3 to 6%, you'd think you'd double the return at the bottom from 40 to 80,000, right? Well, let's take a look. 6 into 72 is 12, because 6 times 12 is 72. So that means every 12 years, your money's doubling. And you can see at the bottom that it hasn't doubled, it's actually quadrupled, which is very interesting, right? It's gone from 40 to 160,000. So if we've learned by doubling the interest rate from 3 to 6, we've quadrupled the return from 40 to 160. By doubling it again from 6 to 12, we'll quadruple it from 160 to 320 to 640,000. Well, let's take a look. 12 into 72 is 6, because 6 times 12 is 72. So that means your money's doubling every 6 years. And you can see it's compounding at a faster rate. Now, in your mind's eye, try and imagine what that bottom number is. And I'll bet you didn't think 2.56 million, did you? No, which is very interesting, right? You see, wealthy people are aware of this. They know that they've got to get a minimum of 8% return on their money in order for their money to work as hard as they work for it. And there's only 2 places you can achieve that, and that is the stock market and the property market. There are other things, but they tend to be incredibly high risky. Yeah, stock market and property market, and we have access to experts in those areas, which we introduce our clients to. So let me show you now how banks make money out of our money. So if you go over to the left-hand column that says 3%, in your mind's eye, change that to 1%. £10,000 getting 1% would be a yield or an interest of £100 per annum. Now, what do the banks do with your £10,000? They don't leave it there, do they? They move it. They either move it to their lending division or their investing division. So let's say they move it to the right-hand column, and that isn't, and let's say it's Barclays Bank who you're with. Barclays Bank move your 10,000 to Barclaycard, one of their lending divisions. They don't lend it out to other people at 12%, they lend it out at 25%. So 25 minus 1 is 24. 24 into 72 is 3. So that means your money's doubling every 3 years, but it's not in your account, is it? So they're getting that 2.5 million in half the time, giving you your £100 interest and keeping the difference for themselves. Very interesting, right? I've learned over the years that when you explain that to someone, they think differently about money, and then they make better decisions going forward. Now, once we've done a financial game plan for a client, we then introduce them to experts we have in the areas of mortgages, buildings and contents, wills and trusts, pensions, debt management, property and stock market investments. And the good news is you don't need to learn or even understand how any of those things work. Because our job, your job, is to introduce people to those experts. They take care of them on yours and our behalf. And if any business comes from that and transactions take place, because you made the introduction, you're going to get paid, which is pretty cool, right? Well, the protection one that's left over with Vitality. Who are they? Well, Vitality are one of the largest insurance companies in the UK, and they offer life insurance, serious illness cover, and private medical insurance. And this is the only product that we, as a company, actually present to the clients. It's the only one you need to learn about, and we cover that during your training. And one of my colleagues, Alan Palmer, is going to come on. Alan, are you with us?
Good evening, Steve. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. Good to see you, mate.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Now, guys, Alan is not only an expert in delivering this to clients, he's also a client himself. And he's married with 2 wonderful children and a lovely wife. And his family is protected through Vitality. Alan, can you explain to everyone how that works?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, Vitality, everyone knows them from the little dog there at the bottom, and Jessica Ennis, which is one of the famous celebrities. And there's many more as well. So like Genistar, Vitality are an industry disruptor. And they disrupted the industry by being different. So how have they done that? Well, they're spread right across 15 countries across the world and 7 million clients also. And they offer you a well-being program that no one else offers. And the way they do that is by giving you, getting you to engage in activity, and also giving you cheaper premiums, and obviously rewarding you for that process as well. So if we could just skip to the next page, Steve. And what Vitality do, as I mentioned, they give you the cheaper premiums, but also these benefits. Now you can see in the top left-hand side, everyone knows about the Apple Watch. You get discounts on an Apple Watch there. You get discounts on Waitrose up to 25%. Amazon Prime, I get my Amazon Prime for free, so there's a £79 a year savings just there. You get discounts on Runner's Needs, up to 50% off those. Also, you get things like View Cinema and Cineworld, which we get, me as a family, we actually get 4 free cinema tickets every single month. At the right-hand side, Champneys there, I can't wait till we get back to normal because me and my wife need a break away to Champneys. We get 75% off with that discount. So Vitality will reward you for being engaging in the activity, but also you lead a longer, healthier life. Now, at the bottom left-hand side, I like the Cafe Nero, which you get a free Cafe Nero every single week, and also discounts on Virgin flights, and up to 40% discount on Virgin gyms and David Lloyd gyms also. So they're very, very clever, Steve. It's for me as a family, I actually don't pay for my life cover, okay? What happens is the amount of benefits outweigh the cost of my life cover every single year, so I end up getting it for free technically, okay? So I'm properly protected, I get rewards and benefits, and my family are taken care of.
Very good.
I'll show you this example here of a lady called Tina who spends about £50 a month on her life cover. And you can see how she saved herself over £700 in a year. And in the center there, it shows that 40% she saved off Virgin Active monthly gym membership. So she saved £436, £45 on a pair of runners at Runners Needs, £59 on View Cinema, £59 on Cafe Nero, and £183 off at Champneys. So there's a £782 saving there, when actually if her policy is £50 a month, her policy again is free, which is really, really clever. And nobody else is doing this right now, where they get you to engage in activity, you get cheaper premiums, you get rewarded, and you lead a longer, healthier life.
Very good.
So well, we know that Genistar is now Vitality's #1 broker in the UK for life and serious illness cover. And we're proud to say that because Genistar at the moment has £5.3 billion worth of cover between life and serious illness with our clients. So if every one of our clients passed away today, we know it won't happen, Vitality would pay out £5.3 billion worth of cover, which is fantastic. And we're looking to be the #1 broker in the industry, not just the UK.
Very good, Alan. Stay on for a second because I'm going to ask you to tell your story in a minute.
Sure.
But guys, think about this for a second now. Let's go back talking to you and your careers. Where you are right now, if you have a job, you'll agree with me, it's hard to increase your income. And that's because you're trading your time for money. And the boss that you have controls that time. So as a result, you have very little flexibility and certainly no freedom. And I'm sure you'll agree with me, the word job security is probably a thing of the past. Now, I'm not saying going to work tomorrow and sack your boss and, you know, and kind of quit the job. That would be just ridiculous, right? But what I am saying is do what Alan did and work with us part-time. So Pearl's doing right now and Arvin did in the past. Work with us part-time, build a business so that if the time comes where you have to or you want to give up that job, you've got that secondary income which can replace the job that you walk away from. You see, success leaves clues. And that is, if you become a business owner and use the power of leverage, then that leverage is going to help you provide an income for you and your family. I'd encourage you to listen to people like Richard Branson, Bill Gates, people like Steve Jobs, etc. on YouTube. And they all have this common phrase they use called the leveraging of their time, which basically means what they're doing is they're building a team of people so that they could be at home with their family and the business is still going ahead, it's still getting results, and ultimately we're still getting paid. So Alan, how did you find this concept when you first started?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Steve, I'll be honest, when I joined this business, I only joined to earn some extra money. For me, it was about some extra money, and if it was helping people in the process, fantastic. And when I joined, I was an executive chef, working up in London, working absolutely crazy hours. And I loved my hospitality career and I never seen myself leaving it, okay? But what it did for me, it gave me some extra income to pay for the things I could never really afford every single month, because we got to the end of the month and your money was gone, right? So what happened for me was when I was part of this business in London, the demand on my time just became a lot more once the company started to grow. And it is just phenomenal that, you know, the more work you put in, the more they expect from you. All of the time, they just wanted me to be there. So I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning a lot of days, cycling into Red Hill train station, traveling into London, and being there until sometimes 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then I was doing the whole cycle, sometimes 6, 7 days a week. So what it did for me was it helped me build up a residual income as I was part-time. And I got to the point where, you know, I remember getting into work one day and requesting some time off work. And we've all been there where, you know, it's always difficult to get time off when it's busy. And I remember my employer initially giving me the time off and saying, look, yes, that's fine, no problem. And I knew it was a busy day. And about half an hour later, that manager came back to me and said, look, we need you here that day. And I said, well, yeah, I understand that. Don't worry, my son's nativity plays in the morning. It'll be finished by about 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'll be into London by 11:30. It's no problem. I'll be there for 1,000 people for lunch, 700 for dinner. It won't be a problem. I've got 30 odd chefs in the kitchen. It was never an issue. And she says, no, we need you here all day. And I said, well, what, you mean from 6 in the morning until 2 in the morning? And she said, yeah, we pay you to be here. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I remained calm. I went home. And I remember having a conversation with my wife. My wife just said to me, look, you know, I just didn't know what to do. She'd been in business. And I said to her, look, what am I going to do? And she says, Alan, you just need to jump. If you don't jump, you're never going to know. You're going to hit some rocks along the way, but you need to jump. Otherwise, you're going to be doing the same cycle time and time again. And it was a scary thing for me. I'd always been employed, but you know, what's the alternative? Just to remain in that position the rest of my life and run myself into the ground, or create and build a business for my family where I'm now in control of my time, in control of my business, and I'm building a legacy for me and my family, not just someone else.
Very good. And it's worked for you, Alan. You're doing incredibly well. What's the highest income that you've received in a week now?
Yeah, my largest weekly income is 5,400 in a week.
Very good. And let's make that the norm every week, shall we?
That'd be brilliant. That'd be fantastic. It's on way. It's coming.
Yeah. Well, keep working as hard as you're working, and I know it will happen. Very proud of you, mate. You're a great man.
Thank you, Steve.
Cheers, Alan. Thanks so much. Just working for Alan. Maybe it's time for you to start your own business as well, because if you don't, then you're just going to have to work for someone else and build theirs, which is okay. But if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you've had enough of getting up early in the morning, getting home late at night, and just being exhausted for the rest, for the weekend, getting yourself ready to do it all over again, then maybe you're in the right place at the right time. And maybe the time is now. Maybe you have found your thing. Well, we've heard Alan's story, but let's talk more about you now and how the Genistar business can work for you. The very first thing that we do is we identify what your goals and what your dreams are. And we use the tool called a financial game plan that we give clients free of charge to do exactly that for you too. Because you see, once we know what your goals and dreams are, we can work out a plan. And that plan is put to work. And the results that come from that plan pay you and your family an income. Now, there's two types of income. First of all, there's immediate income that comes from helping a family with their financial game plan. So you'll receive a few £100s every time you do that. But then the passive income, or the income that comes from your team, starts to build as you teach other people to do the same thing. You see, we pay big money to people who take a leadership position, who love training and developing other people. Because you see, to become a household name in financial education across the UK, we need tens of thousands of people doing it. And the only way that's going to happen is by people training other people to do it. That's where you can build a business and you can build an income where the income literally starts to compound, mushroom, and grow. So how much can you make? Well, based on helping just one client a week, our associates can typically earn the following amounts each month. During your training, your first couple of appointments are handled by your field trainer, and you'll receive £100 to £200, let's say in the first couple of appointments that your field trainer does for you. It really starts to take off as a representative, where by helping just one client a week, you receive £500 to £1,000 a month. At the team leader position, it's £1,000 to £2,000 a month for doing exactly the same thing. These incomes don't include the leverage income, the leadership income, as we call it. They don't include all the other products and services. This is just the vitality plan, helping one client a week get the protection in place. You'll receive £2,000 to £3,000 a month at the senior team leader level. The group leader level, which is the highest part-time position, is £3,000 to £4,000 a month for just one client a week. That's where Arvin was for 5 years before he went full-time and became a vice president 7 years ago. £5,000 a month comes from just helping one client a week. Yeah, if you've got a job at this point and you want this contract, you have to go into work, you have to resign, tell them you no longer need the job anymore because you've got your own full-time business. Plus, you can add EVP bonuses on that and other income streams that we haven't got time to talk about today. But the biggest thing, the thing that inspires most of us is this ownership contract. Once you've been a vice president for 5 years, the business you've built becomes yours, and you can sell that company internally within the company if you want to, and you can retire on the income because it would be substantial enough at that point. And we have a real life example of where this happened, where one of our colleagues, John Flynn, who's a senior vice president, unfortunately lost his battle with cancer last March. So this time last year, he passed away. But the positive thing was that the business that he built was his. He owned it, and his wife and his children inherited it. And they didn't want to take it on board and run it. So they sold it to 2 individuals in the company. And they now receive half of the income every month that comes from that business, or sorry, every week that comes from that business. And the 2 individuals who purchased it, they get the other half. And the business has doubled, more than doubled in the last 12 months. So John's wife and kids are actually getting more money from the business than when he was alive. So if you're motivated by building a legacy for your children and your children's children, well, there's no better company, in my opinion, than Genistar to be able to do that. So senior vice presidents, national and senior national sales directors, they make a 6-figure income and some, because what they've done is they've mastered the part-time bit. Some have taken years to do it. Some have taken months to do it. Okay, but they've then gone full-time, and their job role changes slightly now, where what they do is they are coaching and mentoring other people to follow in their footsteps. And they then start to qualify for the top end, where you get bigger bonuses, a bigger income, and more responsibility, obviously, and a business that you can sell because it's yours, it's an asset. Now, in the last 18 months, we've introduced something called Fast Track, and more than 40 vice presidents have qualified by bypassing those promotions and going directly from representative to vice president in just 2 months. All you've got to do in order to qualify for that is build a team and take on a certain number of clients. It says there March 2021. Well, that's a bit out of date. We've actually extended it now till the end of the year. And as long as you hit the numbers and you build a big enough business, you take the executive vice president contract at any time once you've achieved that. If that motivates you and you want to know more about that, speak to the person who invited you and get the interview booked in with their executive vice president, because they're full-time and they know the detail of what's needed to happen to take advantage of the Fast Track program. Now, our business model is based on a referral system. We don't do any form of marketing that's traditional. We don't do any advertising, cold calling, mail shotting, door to door. All our business comes through word of mouth, but it's a systemized word of mouth. So we teach you to work on personal recommendations and build an unlimited referral system. I remember when Alan went full-time with us 2 years ago, he had around 50 referrals that his clients had given him. Within 6 weeks of being full-time with us, he had over 250. And now he's got over 1,600, probably pushing nearer to 2,000 people that he hasn't even managed to call yet. We teach you how that works. It's called the third-party referral system. I've actually taught it to my lawyer, and she hasn't done any advertising now for about 7 years. It's very simple, but incredibly effective. So what are the next steps? If what you've heard today really does strike a chord with you, find out the detail. Book yourself a follow-up interview where we'll explain to you in more detail how you get licensed and trained, how you get paid and promoted, how do you get clients, and how do you build a team. We want to find out if you're right for us as much as you want to sit down with us and find out if we're right for you. So if you get through that interview, shake hands and we go into business together. We want you to know there's no monthly subscriptions for being part of Genistar. There's no targets to hit, no quotas to hit. There's no products that you have to buy. Many people do, but don't feel under any pressure. You don't have to buy anything. There's just huge amounts of support. So let's say that's successful. You pass the interview, you complete the online application, but you need to prove your identity with a passport or driving license. And if it's outside the UK, we need to prove your right to work in the UK with a visa. Just as an aside, student visas, unfortunately, your passports don't work. The Home Office won't allow us to take you on because we take people on a self-employed basis. There's a registration fee of £140 also, which is there for two reasons. It's there to push many of you away. We don't want everybody to join. I mean, some people sure do pay £140 just to get access to all the financial education and access to the experts that we have, and we can't stop that. But really it's there to attract the people who are serious about doing something different. Where else can you set up a business that starts producing income within a matter of weeks for £140? Nowhere. So you book your orientation meeting, you start your training, and you're in business. Away you go. And you can go as fast or as slow as you like. Now, the benefits you get for being a member of Genistar, all for the princely sum of £140, are immense. You get a financial education. You get personal development and leadership training that's world class. You get tax deductions. So for example, your mobile phone all of a sudden becomes tax deductible because you're now self-employed. You get access to financial experts that you can build a relationship with for the rest of your working life. And true business ownership, where you build a business that becomes yours because it's an asset in your name. Richard Branson says that if someone offers you an amazing opportunity and you're not sure you can do it, just say yes and learn how to do it later. Isn't that true of every job that you've ever had though? On day one, you weren't sure if it was right for you and you didn't have a clue what you were doing. But someone comes alongside you and holds your hand and shows you the ropes. It's the same here in Genistar. 99% of people who join us have no financial background or experience. They tend to come from vocational backgrounds like nursing and teaching and care workers, social workers, ministers and pastors of churches, people who've got a heart for helping people, but have got to a point in their life where they're thinking, yeah, but what about my family? What about my legacy? What am I going to do to leave for my family and future generations? If that resonates for you, you could be in the right place at the right time. See, the distance between your dreams and reality is just taking action. And the action step you need to take is to book the interview that I referred to earlier, preferably with the executive vice president, the person who invited you, and get all the facts. A proverb says a wise man gets all the facts. Sit down with one of our top people and find out all the answers to your questions so you can make a decision and allow us the ability to make a decision on whether we should work together or not. So I want to thank you for attending, and to get your free copy of your Journey to Financial Freedom at the end of the follow-up interview, or if you'd rather just get yourself your financial game plan, which is free, just ask the person who completes that for you to send you a copy via email, and make sure if you've got teenage children, they start to read it. Because once they understand it, and they do, they don't borrow money at stupid interest rates, and their finances for the future are going to be a lot more secure than their previous generations because they're getting educated. We spend 14,000 hours in school and we learn nothing about finance, which is ridiculous. Let's make sure the next generation don't go through that same process. Take care. God bless. See you all at the very, very top. Thank you.